Just wanted to give a quick check-in, and this is actually going to be quick. I know oftentimes I say that I'm going to do something short and then it ends up being long, but I don't really actually have any notes written down. But I just wanted to give people an update if they were wondering sort of where I've been for the past, I guess it's been about a month. So I'm in my new place in Hot Springs. I'm going to call it the McDowell Marigold Cottage because it's on Marigold Circle. And it's in the little Chicago neighborhood of Hot Springs, which is kind of on the outskirts of town. And it's at the bottom of this little ridge that comprises the national park. It's the recharge basin for the hot springs, even though I actually think it's probably primary water, but that's what they say anyway. And so it's some very old mountains, and I guess there's quartz crystal underneath it. It's sort of a mix of hardwood and pine, and this little neighborhood that's about 35 houses or so is just a little square that's tucked up into the base of the ridge that's West Mountain and Music Mountain, where they come together. So I don't know who knew what to be able to get this bit of land tucked up in the mountainside, because this actually kind of looks like it's in the boundary of the park. But yeah, it's just a little ranch house. It's about 6 years younger than me. So hopefully we'll just be taking care of each other. And I've been doing some projects, getting things updated. It was an older couple that had this as their second home. So there were things, it's, generally well taken care of home, but need a new roof and furnace and stuff. So that's been the last few weeks. And I've just been meeting the neighbors, all of whom mostly retired folks. And so I'm the youngster and they're very nice. It's not a big place, but it's a little under a quarter of an acre, and it's sunny and mostly lawn. So I'm going to have a chance to hopefully garden, although because we're tucked up next to the forest and the neighbors feed the deer, there's a lot of deer and rabbits, and I'm sure other kind of critters that come and would enjoy a garden. So I have to figure out about fencing. I want to have something to eat. I don't know if they'll be eating up the flowers that I would want to plant. I'm still doing my research. I've been struggling a little bit with trying to figure out where to go moving forward in terms of my public facing sharing of my research, because it feels like in many respects, most of what we've been talking about for a long time is just ramping up and rolling out. I'm not really interested in just pointing fingers at see, that's the thing I said was going to happen and now it's happening, and see, because often by the time that happens, there's some other way of telling the story that's not the way I would tell it. And I'm just really tired of I just don't find a lot of utility in sort of saying you're doing it wrong. So I'm not really looking into other people's research anymore. I don't find that helpful. And I'm not in a position of really wanting to tell other people what to do either. I guess we're all just pursuing our own version of the story. In that respect, I'm not really sure how it makes sense to keep sharing, or the extent to which it makes a difference or not. Yeah, so I'm still sort of sorting things out mostly for myself, which is to say, I'll probably here and there share some things. I'm not going to pick up the role of sort of responding to immediate things and sort of saying, okay, here's my take on this. Realistically, it's the people who can understand what I'm talking about. At this point, it's pretty small. So really what I've been spending some time on is really looking into how we construct consciousness, the nature of consciousness, the nature of identity, how we construct our model of the world. I've been looking into this active inference and Chris Fields, who works with Mike Levin. So it's sort of this crew around this group. Also Carl Friston on this free energy principle. And so it's sort of essentially looking at how we construct the boundaries of our own identity as opposed to that which is outside of us, and then how we imagine the world. And this idea of the free energy principle is making prediction modeling so that we reduce surprise. And so that we make good predictions about what we think is going to happen next in the world. And then when surprising things happen, how do we go about that? Do you revise your model of the world, or do you try to fit the world into the model that you still have? For me, I'm finding it really helpful because I made a lot of incremental choices that led me to be pretty far out on the margins. And there's sort of costs. I have a whole long playlist I put up about costs, and people are probably annoyed. They just don't understand about the cost. But ultimately, I think these costs are going to be related to quantum sensing and voting, the price structures, and this is going to meld with like the participatory universe. And I'm still sort of trying to pull pieces together, but it seems like some aspect of Ethereum and tokenization as being this language of manifestation or a collective participation in selecting or navigating through different versions of reality or alternatives in this holographic universe, that's going to be part of it. And it's, Ethereum is sort of this ether, this, proto-consciousness, the protoplasm. But I don't know how it all goes together. And it's linking back to the microtubules and structured water and frequency, electromagnetism, lipids, all of these things I've mapped for a while. And, Steffers has shared a whole bunch of links with me, and I have to get back to that and try to synthesize it. So it's not one specific through line. But what I feel like is my wheelhouse is this idea of, as we model reality, a lot of it is taking in signals from our environment. And that can be relational signals among people or the built environment or the natural environment. And then you integrate those signals, and then you try to tell a story about that makes sense to you, that's consistent with how you understand yourself in the world. That's my skill set, is sort of this cultural geography. So I'm struggling a little bit with realizing that I've kind of written myself out of any kind of normal culture. Also, being in a new place, it's like being an immigrant. So acclimating to a new cultural setting, new expectations on my daily life. But the cultural geography part is what I have to offer, my particular lens, my contribution to make, I think. Eventually, I'm going to get around. I do have a map that relates to Gordon Pask and the built environment and identity, and it links into the India and the kibbutz movement and Georgism and community land trust and the civil rights movement and collectives and Mondragon, and the way in which we meld with the environments and the way in which environments are going to learn us through tokenization and tokenized behaviors, and assigning almost identities to housing and communities and this sort of panpsychist view. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that I'm okay. I'm getting to do some things that I haven't done before. I'm learning about lawn mowing and weed whacking, and it's cooler today. It's overcast, but it's been pretty hot. Now Philadelphia gets hot, hot and humid, but it's normally not in the mid to upper 90s for more than maybe 4 or 5 days. And it's longer here. So I'm getting used to it, sort of tempering my use of central air and seeing how much I can get away with. And since I live by myself, no one's here to tell me that I'm smelly. Showering more often after my lawn mowing stuff. And yeah, I'm mostly unpacked. I still have some bins for my fabric. So my fabric's still in the garage, but I'm going to have that organized. Yeah, so I'm settling in. And I'm just going to give myself space and time to figure things out. I mean, I'm generally very happy. I feel like this was a good choice. It's very quiet. I'm at the end of a dead-end street. And it's interesting because this is called Marigold Circle, only it's a square. So it's like squaring the circle. And then you've got West Mountain, which is west in Greek mythology is the location of the underworld or maybe the other dimensional world. And then music. And so much of this is about acoustics. And there's been a lot of symbols and things that I've encountered in this space that seem to sort of reassure me that I'm where I should be. So anyway, if you've been wondering, that's where I am. I still am doing work. I don't really have something specific to share at this point. I don't. It's overwhelming to sort of see how everything is being laid out. I just don't have the stomach for it, really. I can't be what other people, I've had a number of encounters recently, I think, where there's certain expectations of what people think I should be or what they want from me. And at this point, I'm not really here for that. I'm just here to sort of meet my own needs. I'm not trying to be selfish or anything, but for much of my life, I was actually really, really super conditioned to culture and trying to be the good person and the good girl and following the rules. And in my model of surprise, many surprising things happened over the course of 5 years or so that made me question my presumptions about that. At this point, this is my holographic video game. If you feel like tuning in, you can. I'm probably going to have a lot more video short notes, and some people find that annoying. And if that's you, then you can certainly unsubscribe and just move on to other people. For me, it's helpful to really think through some of the concepts that are being presented and how I would apply them to the work that I've done around impact finance and cybernetics and cyber-physical systems and Web3. And I think that there's value in for people who like that sort of thing to look over my shoulder and sort of puzzle out what I think is important about different clips and how it may fill in. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well and are having a good summer. I'm pretty unplugged from most media and news, and it's kind of nice just having a small little world to operate in for the moment. I haven't been out and about as much as I wanted between the move and then actually like my old Subaru, it's like 127,000 miles, and so I have to get the brakes all replaced and everything, some wheel hubs and stuff. So I haven't, now that I finally have a chunk of time, then I had to take my car in on Friday, and I won't have it for another few days. But once we're all squared away with that, I'm hoping to get out, at least down to the lake and hike some trails and be in a little bit more nature than the suburban location that I'm at. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. I'm sure I'll have something eventually to talk about. Yeah, I hope you guys are all doing well. Goodbye from the McDowell Marigold Cottage in Hot Springs, Arkansas.